Well, I like to mess around in art journals, and what I use for art journals is simply books. So this is in this case, a Strathmore watercolor book. But anything, I like to use the books that have the rings in them, and I use those as my journals. So I'll have lots of journals going at one time, but I like the flexibility of these books that have the spiral bound either at the top or on the side. This one, and I generally work on either mixed media paper or I will work on watercolor paper because they're heavy enough that I can do mixed media work on them and the paper will hold up. So this is the inspiration for today's workshop, which is whimsical faces, because I don't consider myself to be a realist. That's not my objective with artwork is to do realism. I am not a realistic painter. I don't want to be a realistic painter. I want to be loose and crazy and wild. And I have a couple of other artists to show you who are very loose and some of my inspirations for just making art in general. And I would always stress out when it came to portraiture, and I'd be, oh, I can't get the proportions right, all this kind of stuff. And then I just told myself, forget about it. Just loosen up, have fun. What can you come up with? And that's when I came up with this piece. And it's mostly hair. You see here, most of what she has going on is hair. And then the nose is super simple. I exaggerated the lips and exaggerated the eye. And that's what we're going to play with today is exaggeration, stepping outside the box. What are some ways that we can come up with ideas that are not perfect portraiture, right? That's why I use the word whimsical portraits in the title. Now, this includes some of the 3D paint. So these flowers have the 3D paint on them, which is why I have the CERN relief to show you that. And then you see the shimmery, shiny paint that's there. That's the Dyna paint that I showed you a little bit ago. That's these paints in the tube like this. They are acrylics. And then I also used some, this is, what is it called? Metal leaf or mirror leaf in here as well on the hair. I'm not going to show that tonight. I did a whole workshop on mirror leaf and how to use mirror leaf. So if you are interested in that, you can take a look in my past shows on Whatnot, or it may only be available now in my past live shows over in YouTube. The background of this painting is, can you see the old vintage postage stamp? There's paper, there's paint. So I like to build up what I call history in a painting, lots of crazy background. And then I put my paintings on top of it. There's especially this painting over here, which you can't see right now. Let's see if I can show you that. So that one has a lot of papers and fabric and things in the background. And then the painting that's directly behind me here with the frangipani flowers, I used the outliner and created outlines. And then in that one, I poured paint into each of those little cells that I created with the outliners. And that's what I did here too on the paper is after I created these funky flowers, I filled them in with the liquid paints in here. That is an advantage of having something that sits up off the surface of your paper is if you tie it together so that it's a closed cell, then you can pour liquid paints into it and get some fun, different effects with your liquid paints. So those are some of the techniques that I used when I created this face. And actually, if you look over on my website, that's deetsart.com, I have started an article in my blog. So that's the first page that will come up. And it features this painting. And it also gives you an outliner. So if you're more comfortable in the beginning, as I was as a newer artist, just printing out an outliner and then using a transfer paper to put the outliner down onto your page and then work with that, feel free to download the outliner from my website for this gal's face, which the name of this painting is She Wondered. And the reason is because this journal page at the bottom says she wondered if she should put more flowers in her hair. What do you think? Should she put more flowers in her hair? All right, let me set her aside for a moment. And then I want to show you some other artists that inspire me and have inspired me over the years. I used to live in Fort Lauderdale. Now I'm on the east coast of Florida. Now I'm on the west coast of Florida. But there's an artist named Alex, Alex, and he does these super whimsical. When you look at that, you say, huh, that kind of looks like a person, kind of, right? It's very loose and abstracted. So he would sell these during the art walk. He would just have watercolor paper and he would do his doodles and then he would sell them during the art walk, as well as full-on artworks like this. And can you see how these are very abstracted faces? Now, for some of you, if you're not used to abstract, you may say, whoa, that is totally out of my comfort zone. And I understand. What I wanted to do was show you the possibilities, and then I'll go into showing you some multiple techniques during this workshop as to how to loosen up and have some fun with the concept of portraiture, but not actual portraiture, right? Like this is a way out face. It's just way out. Thanks, Alex. And then this is another one of his doodles. The nice thing is he would sign the doodles. So these are originals. They were from about 2000 and I think 2015 or so. But doesn't that look like a bunch of people just standing up and having a chat like what we would do when we would go to his art openings like that? That's a whole bunch of people, right? But they're super loose and giddy and fun, and I just love them. So I keep them together with his postcard here, and I have all his contact information with that. But that's an idea where you can do mini works of art and have them available at your art openings for when you're doing your own, say, studio walkthroughs and things like that. A big gallery wouldn't necessarily let you do that, but if you have your own space and you have people walking through, that's a great way to have small artworks that you can hand out, and they are more gestural and fun. Now, I have another friend in Fort Lauderdale named Lynn, and she does what she calls folk art. And a lot of what she does involves women in her pictures. And so what I wanted to show you was this is her Instagram right here. It's Whimsy. Let's see, Whimsy at Work. All right, Whimsy. Let me put it down here in case you want to snap a picture of that. Whimsy at Work. And her name is Lynn. And she is a professional working artist. She sells at like outdoor fairs and that kind of stuff. So this is one of her pieces. It's a hanging piece. It hangs from a piece of found wood that she finds outside her house or at the park or something like that. But you see how this very simple face, right? And these are little birds, but it's her own style. It's just simple, but it's her style. And here's another one right here. This one has cats. So it's her simple faces. Let me bring it down a little bit in case on YouTube there's a QR code on the screen. So sometimes that can get in the way of the pictures. That's why I keep bringing them down. But you see how simple she did that. She likes to put crowns on her girls as well. And then you have your cats there. You have some birds here. You have a fish down here. Super simple and what she calls folksy. Now she also does sculpture. And so here is a face, but done in sculpture and polymer clay. And you see how she makes sort of, I would call those lazy eyes. She has a nose, she has a mouth, but wow, 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 wow. There's just a lot going on there, and it's fantastic. She uses polymer clay to do her sculptures like this, which means she can just bake it right at home in her oven. She doesn't have to have a kiln like you might if you were in a big studio. Now, that is it for people who are local to me. And then on YouTube, there's a young man. He calls himself Black Bean. And I don't know exactly what the CMS means, but it is Black Bean. There he is. He's so much fun. He is so fun. He's very entertaining in his videos. And he does drawing, and he does mostly oil pastels, but he also sometimes will show you him doing his artwork with oil paintings. This is his, hey, chick from Athens, Georgia. Welcome in, welcome in. Here is his website. So it's blackbeancms.com, where you can see more of his work. He doesn't put a lot of his work up on his website because it sells. Usually he's either doing a commission or it sells right away. Somebody will reply to one of his videos and be like, can I buy that? And they're gone. And why? Because his technique is very unique to him. This is some of his videos that you'll see. There he is there. And these are some pieces that he's working on in his videos on YouTube. Do you see the exaggerated faces, the bold colors, right? The same thing here, really wonky looking portraits. And so he can do a portrait, but he prefers to do exaggerated portraits. So this is from his website. And you see how you know that it's a portrait, but look at how exaggerated it is. The nose off to the side, the eyes are not even, the colors are wackadoodle wild and fun. He always does funky big lips like this. Fantastic. And if you want to watch his process, you go to the blackbean_CMS on YouTube. Oh my gosh, he has a great personality. It's so much fun to watch him create. And this is a piece that's sold $850 for this one. And it features just a multitude of different ways of creating something that we recognize as a face or a portrait. But look at the expressions, the shapes, the colors. You see how crazy that is? But there you go again. Look at all those funky face. Look at this one with a massive eye over here. So I don't want to hear this. I'm not an artist. I don't want to hear it. Right? Because you can do anything, whatever blows your hair back, whatever is something that you feel represents you alone as somebody, an individual who's just putting down their interpretation of what does a face look like. And you can't even tell whether these are male faces, female faces, or they animal faces. What are they? You just sort of recognize them as a face. But there are so many shapes and they're at different angles. Oh my gosh, he is absolutely brilliant. Now, like my friend Lynn, besides doing artwork, he also does sculpture. He uses clay to do his sculpture, though. And here's one of his sculptures from his website. It was from the Valentine's Day recently. And so you can see the little heart over the eye and the hearts here. Just, to me, just absolutely phenomenal. And so incredibly unique, right? And not in proportion for faces. You don't have to do that. That's what I'm trying to show you is artists that are phenomenal, and yet they're not worried about making sure that their portraits look like portraits. Okay, give it up. If you're not a realist, and some people are amazing at doing realism, I'm not one of them. So if you're not one of them either, we're going to have some fun this evening. Now, this is an artist from Amsterdam. Is it Amsterdam? The Netherlands. And he's called Lucebert. That's what he signs his artwork with, Lucebert, because his name is this big old long name right here. So if you are interested and you want to take a picture of that, you can look him up by his big old long name. But I just looked him up by this name that he uses, that he signs. Lucebert, he signs on his artwork. Now, he passed away in 1994. He was from 1924 to 1994. And way, oh, how long ago was it? 2014, 2013. I was at the Museum of Art in Fort Lauderdale. There are a lot of museums that carry Lucebert's artwork. And I was sitting there in front of some of his artwork, which had to do with these portraits, but they're very abstracted portraits. And I was sketching them. And this is this is a piece that's available right now that you could look under his name, and you can find this piece for sale out there. It's a mixed media, and you might call it very crude or childish, but it's selling for really good money. So this is an example from 1962 of one of his pieces showing the human form, but very abstracted. This is another piece that is from a website called Wide Walls. And there is one of his pieces, lots of bright colors and very abstracted. Like, see the two eyes on the same side and then the nose over here. So absolutely, you don't have to do a portrait to scale. And these are the sketches that I did in my sketchbook in 2013 when I was visiting the Museum of Art in Fort Lauderdale and sketching from looking at Lucebert's artwork. So these are pieces these are drawings of his sketches that were in the museum in Fort Lauderdale. Now, there are many museums that have Lucebert's artwork, so you can check if your local museum has any pieces of Lucebert's artwork, and you can go and check it out. But I highly encourage you to this is I think it's B art, which is a beautiful paper. Here, Aqua B, and then this is a heavy drawing pad. So I highly recommend something like this that you could take with you. Notice again, it's a journal, so it has the rings on the side. And this is where you're sketching your ideas. You're putting down the things. These are crazy. These images are nutso, but you still recognize them as faces. There's more in here. So the book is the book is completely done. Let me find a couple more. This was a self-portrait that I did. So I had my hair dyed red and my eyes are sort of hazel. So I had this background and I just whipped out what I called a self-portrait. Doesn't look anything like me though, does it? But that's, art can be fun. This was just a sketch in ballpoint pen, so you don't have to have any fancy materials to do your sketching. Just a sketch in ballpoint pen on, I think it's a newspaper. These are stock quotes in a newspaper. And then, let's see what else we have here. Just wanted to show you some examples. One of the things that I do is I grab magazines, and if I see a picture that I like the look of the picture, then I cut it out and I put it in my journal here. And then you can see I was using that to give me some inspiration to do some drawing over here. And I just used a glue stick and glued that down right in there. More random, right? Looks female because of the big lips here. This one, the big blue eyes, because one of my daughters has blue eyes, so I just was focusing on the eyes, and kind of this area here is sort of an afterthought. And looking to see, and then a self-portrait. So I think it's a good idea if you, and a lot of artists over the years have done this, they sit and they look in a mirror and then they draw themselves or they paint themselves. So you always have somebody there sitting for you if you're painting yourself, a self-portrait. So I did a self-portrait drawing at one point, and here's the self-portrait drawing. And then I colored it, and then I put it into an art journal page. So that's a good thing to do too, where you can do a self-portrait and then just make copies of it and carry it forward into multiple pages. So those are some ideas out of one of my books. Let me get back to the Lucebert page for myself. Now, a lot of pages in this book are like this, which means they're waiting for me to do something else on. All right, let me put these away. And now here is a painting that I did. And again, I took a piece of paper. This is a portrait, but it's a very loose portrait. And what it actually is something that we call a blind contour drawing. So what is a blind contour drawing? And blind contour drawing is a great way to warm up, to get started during your painting session. If you're sitting down, do some blind contour drawing. It's phenomenal for getting you loosened up. This is another example of a blind contour drawing. This is blind contour drawing. And this was me looking at somebody across the table from me, not looking at my paper, only looking at the person in front of me, and then moving my pen. That's why they call it blind. You're not looking at your paper, you're looking at your subject, and then drawing. This is one of my favorite ones that I've ever did, because it's one continuous motion of the pen. You're not lifting the pen or the pencil up. And I save magazines like this one. Here, this is a luxury magazine. I save magazines like this because in them you have beautiful people like this gentleman and this young lady that you can use as inspiration for blind contour drawing. Now, this book also has a whole bunch of animals in it because somebody went to the Serengeti or something. And so we've got a dolphin, we've got a parrot. There's a lot in here. If you find really nice picture books, there's a lot in them that you can use as inspiration for blind contour drawing. So today, since we're focusing on portraits, I'm going to be doing the portraits. So we're going to start with blind contour drawing, and then we're going to move into creating a mixed media background. And then what do I do then to create my image on top of the crazy background that I create? Let's go ahead then. I did want to make sure that if you don't have this information yet, that you know where to find me on Instagram and Facebook and my website. As I mentioned before, my website has articles on it. Usually when I do my weekly workshops on YouTube, I will cut out the sale portion of the show and just leave the workshop by the next day, as well as there are links in there if you want to buy any paint that you can use to easily find them. And that information is found on my website. There's also a page on my website that is called, let me think, product links, I believe, something like that. So you go into the menu and you'll see where you can purchase different art supplies that you might be interested in and that I might use during the workshop. And then, of course, if you are on YouTube and you'd like to come over to Whatnot, I'm Tristina's Attic on Whatnot. You can just click on the link that's in the description of the video. And then on Whatnot, there's this wonderful feature where you can give tips to artists, which is fabulous. Well, artists or anyone else who is selling on Whatnot. And on YouTube, I'm not big enough to have super chats on YouTube, so I can accept tips if you're interested in sending me a tip at ko-fi.com. So that's ko-fi.com. It's at Tristina Dietz Art, and feel free to throw a tip in over there. All right. Let me get one of my journals here. I want to use something that's more like sketch paper for this part of what we're doing. Let's see here. This is one of my big journals that has lots in it. All right, there's a page. Make sure that is in screen. Yes. So what I'm going to do so that it's easier for you to see it is I'm going to use a black pen. Normally I use a pencil because it glides over the surface better, but in order for you to be able to see it, I'm going to use a black pen, and we're going to use this concept here of blind contour drawing. It's so much fun. If you guys have a piece of paper and even a pencil handy, you can do this right along with me. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to look at an image or an object that's around you, and then you're going to do a blind contour draw where you don't pick up your pen or your pencil from the surface. And I'm going to do this gentleman's face since we're focusing on portraits. Let me see if I can get this. I want you to be able to see the image. So let's see if I can put this on top of there. And then you can see the image along with me. There we go. So what I do is I will look at his face. Normally I'm looking up. When I have a class and there are people in the classroom, we always do blind contour drawing with the people that are right across from us on the table. It's so much fun. All right, let me make sure the ink is flowing here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at his face, focus there, not focus on my paper. I'm going to put this down and I'm going to do the drawing without picking up my marker. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so where do I want to start from? I want to start from his ear over here, jawline up here. Oh, there's an eye. There's another eye. There's the nose. There's the lips there. Ah! I'm not watching, so I can't see. Oh, nice hairline here. And then back up here, and I'm done. Ah! There we go. So that is a blind contour drawing, which may look nothing like the person that's across from you. And I love doing that because sometimes you come out with something like this, which is fabulous. You just don't know. Let's try it with a pen. I'm going to use one of my Micron pens, and we'll do another one. You can do this with any object too, not just with faces. What I like is if you're going to do a loosey-goosey, thank you, the artist row. Thank you, thank you. Oh, let's do this. I want to do something that's a little more expressive. Row, okay. So in this picture, I liked her profile. You see how she has a profile there? What you're going to start doing is when you start looking through magazines and things, you're going to be looking for expression and what does their face look like? What angle are they looking at? Not just, ooh, that's a beautiful picture, but what are the details that you can use to draw? Like here, they have big smiles, so that could be kind of fun with the big smile trying to get the teeth in there. Let's do this one maybe with the big smile. Okay, we're going to put this here so you can see the picture as well. And let me take the notebook there. Now I'm going to use a little bit different marker here. Let me move my other phone with YouTube out of the way there. And then, okay, good. You can still see everything. Let me make sure. You know what? I do have a Sharpie. It's almost run out, but maybe that'll be a little bit easier. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at her face. Again, I'm just going to do the drawing. I'm not going to look at the paper. I'm going to look at her because I love the big teeth here. Let's see what happens when I do this with the big teeth. Generally, I start on the side with the ear, and it makes it easier for me to make my way around. But of course, you can start anywhere. Okay, I'm going to start with the ear, come down with the chin, come up. Now I'm going to come in and get that mouth, big open mouth with some teeth. Oh, this is going to look funny and crazy. And then up here, over, there's a line, and the hair comes back down to the ear, up to an eye. There's a nice eyebrow there, another eye, an eyebrow, and then down with the nose. Okay, wow. Oh, this doing this blind contour drawing always brings laughter. It helps to loosen you up. It's something that just do it on uh, drawing paper so that it's not too precious, right? You can even do it on lined paper, anything like that. And the purpose of it, of course, is just loosen up and have fun. And what'll happen is the more you do it, the more your hand-eye coordination will get better, right? Your hand-eye coordination will get better. And you can do it with animals, you can do it with objects, you can do it with, you know, your knife or your fork or anything like that. But this is an excellent way to loosen up before you get started. And I love when I get something like this, as I showed you earlier, and then I've taken this image and I took a photograph of it, and now I actually reproduce it in multiple sizes and cut it out and use it as an element in my collage. Yeah. So it just becomes a collage element, which is fabulous. All right. I love this magazine. Look at the artwork on there. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. That's what attracted me to it. All right. That was doing blind contour drawing, but now let's take the concept of Lucebert and what Lucebert did. And that's very pretty. Oh, thank you. Thank you, the artist row. Now let's look at what Lucebert did was he was exaggerating everything. So there's someone's nose, and maybe there's a big eye here. And like I said, this is not for everybody. Not some people prefer to have something that looks more like a person. But I loved the fact that Lucebert's artwork is something that's totally way out. The eyes don't even have to be even. Right? There's a big old nose. Something like that. The more you do it, the more you will get comfortable with what you like and the features that you enjoy drawing. Let's give him a strong chin right there. And what kind of a nose? A bulbous nose. There we go. So there's something that's just sketchy sketch. I encourage you to sketch, 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 and do more sketching. Let me see which book has, one of my books has, yes. Was it this one? I think it is. So one of the girls in this book is one of my favorite types of girls to do. Let me see, I think she's over here. Oh, there's the original. Can you see that? That's the original. It's tiny, but that's the one, it's only about 2 inches tall. That's the one that I take pictures of and blow it up. And there's another girl in here that I wanted to show you that's more, I've done lots of drawings of girls that look similar to this. So they have this sort of notched, flowy hair like that, big eyes, big lips. This one I named Joy, so her name is Joy, and it's cool who originally came up with the construct of this style. Let's see, the artist wrote, which style are you talking about? The very loosey-goosey style, or the blind contour drawing? I don't know who came up with that, but it is fabulous because it's so nice to loosen up with. But you can see, get yourself a sketchbook. Yes, the blind contour. Unfortunately, I don't know who came up with that. These are blind contour giraffes. You can see there, right? This one's standing up. This one is leaning down to drink some water. There's another angle of leaning down to drink water, but these are blind contours. You can tell it's a giraffe. Although sometimes when I do these drawings, you cannot tell what it is that I am trying to do. Okay, let's talk next about creating a background for the type of mixed media work that I do, which is similar to these gals here. So the background has lots of paint in it. It has collage in it. I'm going to show you the basics of what I do to create the background. Now this paper, this is a sketchbook. So it's a little bit, to me, the paper is a little bit too thin to do the, what I'm going to show you on, because I want to be able to use lots of water. This happened to be on sale, but it is a sketchbook. And what you're looking for when you're looking at your papers is how many pounds does it say that it is? So this one right down here says 65 pounds. That tells me it's a very lightweight paper, perfect for sketching and drawing, but not something that I would throw a lot of water on. So I'm not going to build my mixed media background on this paper. To me, it is too thin. You can use whatever you have. All right. I never discourage people from just use what you have. So if that's all you have, you can still do this process right on top of there. What I prefer to do is to use a book that has at least a 98 pound. So let me see what this one says it is. On the front here. Come on, B paper. So this B paper says 93 pounds. That's a little bit, and it says, it'll tell you right here, for use with wet and dry media. So you want to look and see if it says wet. If it says wet, then you know that the notebook can take wet media. Let's see. Now, what I tend to do, I'm sketching, my kids were sketching in here. My kids are all grown, married, and left home already, but a lot of these sketches were from them. I love looking back through them because then I can see both of us doing stuff in the book. It's a good way to remember your kids when they were kids. Okay, so here's a page that is just a bunch of randomness, right? So what we're going to do on top of here, this is just random colors, acrylic marker, and drawings. So I'm going to go right over top of this with some collage and some more paint. So let's use, this is calling to me, which is kind of a purple color right here. So I'm going to take this and just put a little bit of that on there. And a lot of times when I'm doing background painting, I use a palette knife. So here's a palette knife. And I like the palette knife because it helps me to spread the paint very quickly. There we go. And usually I can get a little bit of a thinner consistency when I do that. Okay. So something was just telling me to do the purple up there. And then I think I want to do some yellow down here. Now, from a color theory standpoint, of course, purple and yellow are across from each other on the color wheel. So you've got what looks like a red violet here, and across from it is a yellow green. That means if you add these two together, you're going to get a brown. But if you put them next to each other, they look spectacular. So let's put a little bit of this yellow on here. These are acrylic paints. I want it to look slightly green, so I'm going to add a tiny bit of blue, just a tiny bit, and sort of mix it right on the surface. Could I mix it on a palette beforehand and then put it down on here? Yes, of course. Of course I could. Okay, that just gave me a bright light green. I don't mind leaving some of the markings that are underneath there to show through. That's just, as I said before, shows history. So you can always take your old notebooks and go back through and do what I'm doing, just work right on top of them. Some of your artwork. I have tons and tons and tons. Other artists probably can say they do as well. Tons of half-finished artworks that are just sitting around waiting for something, for me to do something with them, right? It's the nature of being an artist. It's like squirrel, squirrel. You just want to go look at something else. Okay, cool. I got that on there. Now, of course, if you need it to dry right away, then I always have handy in my studio the heat gun like this. Oh, let's see here. And so you can hit that with your heat gun and have it dry a little faster for you. All right, let's pick out some papers to do collage, which is my favorite thing. A lot of my artwork you'll see has collage in it. Like, for instance, if we go a little bit further down here, here's some collage where I was collaging around a pear with various washi tapes and papers. Here I took a label to a tomato can and some Asian paper. I'm not done with this one yet. I started it. Let's see, there was another one that was super cute. Wow. It must be down here. It's one of these. Yes, after this one. Well, there are just so many pieces of artwork in here. There were a few where I did a bunch of collage, and they were super cute. See, that was Lucebert, past Lucebert. See, whenever I have leftover paint, I put the leftover paint in my notebook. So I have a no paint left behind policy in my studio. And that's another reason why I have lots of notebooks going on at one time, because if I have some paint left on my brush, I get a lot of water in it, and then I just slosh it around onto here. So these are pages that are waiting to have something put on them. All right, let's see who you are. Okay, well, for some reason they are buried in here, and we're not finding them. Here it is, right here. So there's another one where you can see the colors that are in the background there, some iridescence, and then I did a bunch of collage on it, and then I put a kitty cat's head on one and a doggy's head on the other. Why? Just because. Oh, and then this says he wondered if he could ever live up to her expectations. Who knows? All right, so this is most of the way dry. Let's go ahead and get some collage papers to put down. When okay, I keep all kinds of crazy things. So when I use black paper and then I cut the, I don't know what you would call this, the spine portion of it. When I cut the spine portion of it off, I keep the spine and then I use it as a collage element. So let's do that. And then other people who have seen my shows know that I have bins of paper like this. These are just from salads that I keep the little bins. And then when I teach classes, I put the bins on the various tables and they have all of these beautiful scraps in them. This is one of my favorite papers here. And in my buy now section of Whatnot, if you type in the word supplies, there is a pack that I call a scrap pack, and it is artist grade papers like this that come in a pack. And so that is available to purchase, as well as I have used tea bags and exotic tea tags. That's also available in there. And Joss paper, which is Asian papers, that is in there as a buy it now and Whatnot. And then I have collected postage stamps since I was a kid. And so this is a big box of my domestic and international postage stamps. And you can purchase a stamp pack, which has over 20 postage stamps in it. Also under supplies, if you type in the word supplies in my buy it now over on Whatnot. All right, let's take, this is really pretty, or it has Canadian stamps right there. That's bold, that'll go against it. And then let's take something like, there's some pears here. So this is just fodder for the background, stuff for the background. So we'll take those and put them in there. And you'll see from this that it doesn't really matter what you do in the background because you're going to be building layers on top. And the beautiful thing about acrylic paint is you can always change the surface just by putting more on top. I was watching an artist once on YouTube and he was making me nuts because he would be painting away in acrylic, and I would say, wow, that's a really cool painting. And then he would smush over a section of it and then do more painting on top of that. And I was thinking, what are you doing? It was, in my opinion, his painting was done 4 or 5 times during the process over the course of several days. Holy kashmoli, dude. But we're artists, and if that's what we feel, the beautiful thing about acrylic paint is you can just keep going right over top of it. And this is the process that I do. I get different pieces of paper out of my bin, and I just audition. I call it auditioning it on the surface. And this one's nice. It's green, but it has some gold in it. Okay, that looks good. And that's a good little section right there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You know what? Let's do this. Let's take this image here and we will tear that out. That's the problem in my house. Everything becomes potential to go into my artwork. There we go. I like rough edges too, as opposed to cutting. Okay, awesome. We'll put the face down in there too for the background. I'll use some, this paper is translucent so you can still see through it. And let me show you my favorite ways to put these elements down on the surface. And I'm going to start with these. I use for one thing, a palette paper. And this is paper, it's a paper that has a waxy plastic coating. I'm going to use that to put my medium on top of, and then I'm going to use my palette knife to lay these items down onto the surface. Let's go ahead then. There are two kinds of mediums that I use. One is a gel medium. So this says matte gel medium. They're glossy and they're matte. And then the other one, let me see if I can grab it out of my chest. Yeah. Where are you? Bindex. Okay, there we go. The other one I use, the purple, orange, and yellow looks phenomenal, right? Thank you, thank you. Ah, usually what I do is just very intuitive in the moment, and who knows how it's going to come out. I don't stress over it. That's what I've learned over 15 years that I can share with you. Don't stress over it. The beautiful thing about using acrylic is you can always change it. This is Bindex, and one of the things that I have to give away this evening is this small jar of Bindex. Bindex is an acrylic medium that is good for delicate papers. So when I'm working with thin papers like this, rice paper, and when I'm working with these papers here that are very delicate, then I like to use Bindex because it's a little thinner than a gel medium. But when I'm working with thicker paper like this, I need to use the gel medium. So let's open this up. You can see what it looks like in there. Thank you, thank you. Very vibrant color palette for this piece. Now, one of the tricks is that in the area where I want to put the face, I will go in with a little bit of white gesso or white paint, and then I will, can you see the face here? I use yellow or I use white, and I just put a little bit of a layer so that then I can start building the face on top of it. But first, I go ahead and do the collage and do the painting in the background. So you can either put your gel medium directly down on the surface like that, or I could have taken the gel medium and put it on the back of that. Okay. The beautiful thing is the gel medium looks white when it's wet, but when it's dry, it'll be transparent. So anything behind it will still show up, which is awesome. All right, let's put some of this paper. You know what? That is a little bit, what am I willing to cover up? I think the face can go over here. So again, I can put the gel medium here. If you don't have a palette knife and you only have a brush, just use a brush. And I can position that right there. I don't want it too close to the edge. What you want to be careful of is some of these notebooks have a perforation along the edge. And so you want to be sure you don't go over the perforation when you're doing your work. Now I'm getting a little bit of paint on the front of it, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. More stuff's going to go on top of it. So there was a little bit of paint that lifted from the background, but it doesn't matter. Hey, Punk Rock Princess, welcome in, welcome in. All right, so let us put this piece, maybe I'll put that, maybe I'll put it like that. There we go. So see, even though I put a lot of that green there, what am I doing now? I'm covering up some of it. And that is A-okay. There we are. Can you see that all right? Yeah, there we go. Nice. I appreciate you spending your Sunday evening with me. I'll tell you, right now in Florida, when we first started, it was major thunder. And now it's like sunny and gorgeous outside. So I appreciate you spending your evening with me. All right. Where can these go? Where can these go? Can they go there? Usually I'll put something in the background and then put it over top. The nice thing is, like I said, you'll be able to still see through this paper a little bit. So let's do this. I'll put that one there. All right, nice. You can put the gel medium on top of your items as well as underneath your items. So go either way. Oh, I want to put these words over here. Let's put that as from a book. Sometimes, a lot of times I will put parts of books or music in my artwork, and then when I get ready to name the piece, I will look at what the words say, or look at the words for the music, or look at the name of the piece of music, and then I will name the piece based on that on many occasions. Okay, I want to put this on. Maybe this has beautiful gold threads going through it. When you order a scrap pack from me, you get some of these sheer papers like this. So I have packs of these sheer papers. So I include a bunch of the sheer papers in with your pack. I haven't seen Salmon's Girl in the chat yet, but she's bought many of my scrap packs and loves those transparent papers. Okay, this is so pretty. Let's put this one, which is a piece that I made on rice paper. Let's put it over here. Oh, no, let's put it up here. Let's put it right, maybe like that. Why not? And you know what? It's okay also if your paper goes off the side, because it doesn't matter. It'll all come out in the wash at the end. You can cut off what's on the edges. Some people like the look of the paper that's sticking out over the edges as well. Okay, I think that's gonna, this piece that has the Canadian stamps on it, I'm thinking of overlapping it just a little bit with this orange right here. So that's one of my favorite artists that I like to watch on YouTube is Bob Burridge. And boy, let me tell you, he gets a big fat brush and he's dipping it in his gel medium. He has a massive bucket of gel medium and he just goes for it. That's where I learned to just go for it when it comes to doing the gluing down with the gel medium. The nice thing about using gel medium when you're gluing like this is that the gel medium is archival. Because some people ask me, oh, can I just use Mod Podge or something? And the answer is absolutely you can. Part of it depends on what is the purpose of your artwork. Are you making a piece of artwork that you're going to scan or photograph and then sell the prints? Then you don't have to worry about the archivability of it. But if it's a finished piece of artwork that you're planning to sell to the public, then you may want to consider the archivability of it, depending on how much money you're asking for your artwork. All right, another thing I love to use is, this is onion skin, is what it's called. It's from a pattern. So I love to buy the patterns when they're at the church for 25 cents or something, and then you get tons of this onion skin, tons. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of it. I like the lines. The nice thing about the onion skin is when you put some of the gel medium on it, it will basically disappear into the background. All right. Now, because this is very thin tissue and it's very delicate, instead of using gel medium, which is thick and has a tendency to bunch up underneath, I'm going to use some of the Bindex instead. So let me put this on here. And let's use some of the Bindex. So the Bindex is also a gel medium, but it's thinner. I like to tell people it's similar to a face cream or a hand cream consistency. So it's not as bulky as a gel medium like this in the jar. And I love that because it works. You can also use it with some of the thicker papers, but it works amazingly well with your delicate thin papers. So let's, again, I'm going to take this and let's figure out where this is going to go. Oh yeah, that's fun. Okay, so again, I'm going to put the, in this case, the Bindex right on here. And then I'm going to grab that. And notice I'm holding this part of the paper up and then gently encouraging it to go down little by little. Now there are still bunches of wrinkles in it, but they're less wrinkles than if I haphazardly put it down. Okay, awesome. What I love about the onion skin is now that I've put the medium on it, do you see how you can still see through it? You can see through it just fine, but it slightly obscures what's behind it. All right, this face is screaming white. It's like too white for me in this area right here. So I'm going to find a piece of this lovely. Oh, you know what? I think I'll use another piece of the onion skin because that way I'll have some of the considerations as I'm working is, am I carrying colors in a balanced way through the artwork? So here, you see that cute little arrow? I'm going to tear that off of there. So much for the pattern, right? Bye-bye, pattern. Okay. That is actually really cool. Now see, the nice thing is I can turn it over. It just depends on if I want you to be able to read the word that says centerfold or not. Okay, maybe I do it up here like this. The nice thing is you can still see through it. Nope, it's going to be hanging off. So I am going to put it down here in this area, and I'm using the Bindex to do that. Nice, there we go. That makes me happier. Okay, well, right now it's hanging off. I can cut some of that hanging part right down here if I want to. I can just cut that off. Guess where this little bitty piece of paper is going to go? It's going to just get thrown right in my bins right here. Why? Because look, there's another little arrow right there. So I don't want to lose that. It's not going in the trash. It's just going right there. Ooh, okay. I like where this is going. Now, I want to put a transparent color up in this area right here. So when you're looking at your paints on the tube somewhere, either on the front or on the back or on the side sometimes, it's going to show you whether your color is opaque, semi-opaque, or transparent. And in this case, this one is telling me it's opaque because there's a little square and the square is black. It's filled in. So that means this is opaque. I don't want opaque. I'm looking for a transparent color. This one is semi-opaque. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little block right there and it has a line through it and half of it's black and half of it's white. That means that this paint is semi-opaque. I don't want that. I want a transparent color to work with. Now, let's see. This one, this is a primary red, and the little block right there is completely clear. That means that this one is a transparent color, which is a good color to go over top of this area so that we can still see through it. Now, if you want to make your paint more transparent, you can add this Bindex or some of the gel matte medium. So this was the Bindex and this is the gel matte medium. You can include some of that in with your color and that will help make it more transparent. Let's put some of this red, what's called primary red, in with the Bindex. Now what you're going to notice is that the plain gel mediums like this and like the Bindex, they are white in the tube. Do you see the whiteness there? However, when they dry clear. So what's going to happen is this color right now that looks very pink, when it dries, it's going to get darker because the acrylic medium is going to evaporate and clarify and become more clear. So let's put some of this over here so we can sort of tie together the right and the left side of the painting. And a lot of times I'll take just a little bit on my brush or on my palette knife and I'll run over some of the areas near the postage stamps to make them seem as though they are integrated into the rest of the painting. There we go. Now what you're going to notice here on this face, you see how you can still see through that red? You can still see through to what's underneath it. I'm actually going to take more of this and obscure it a little bit more. There we go. Just like that other artist. What are you doing? You're hiding what you just did. It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. It's going to dry. It's going to be clear, and you're going to be able to see under it. We are A-okay. Now, I want to unify this and put a little bit more of that red over in this area. So I'm actually going to use a brush for that. I've got a brush, and I just want a little bit of it in here. I don't want to overwhelm it. Sometimes when you use the palette knife, you can overwhelm the amount that you put on. And I don't want to do that. I just want to control how much gets on there. So a brush is better for control. There we go. Nice. Now you can see different parts of this artwork are beginning to speak with each other, and they're becoming unified together because the same color is overlapping these different elements. All right, nice. Now this color is going to, oh, thank you, Gabriel Leards, for sharing the stream. I appreciate that very, very much. So you see how the red, I like these white brushes because it's a challenge for me to make sure that I keep them white when I'm using these bold colors. So I'm dipping it in water, getting that color out as much as I can. There. Before I actually put it in and mash it around in the water like that. Nice, so that got most of the color out. I try to keep it as much with the color out as possible before going to the sink. I want as little pigment, all of these exotic pigments that we have here, I want as little pigment as possible to go down the drain. Because if you take this paint and you leave most of the pigment in your brush and then you wash it out in your water supply, what's going to happen is these pigment particles are going to get into your water supply, and some of them have cadmium in them, some of them have just all kinds of different heavy metals and things. And so I try to get as much color out on a paper towel, which will be dried and go in my trash and then dry, and then it'll go out in the trash and it'll be incinerated where they control the fumes and they control and clean the air. That's a better way to dispose of it. All right, that's going to go in there. Okay, see, I still have a little bit of a frog in my throat from the having the cold 2-3 weeks ago. So time for a Ricola. I love my Ricola. I always keep them close by to help with times like this. All right, let's do one of the giveaways. Let's see, we'll do the Bindex giveaway. So you just saw how I use the Bindex as for the delicate papers to help glue them down. So let's do the giveaway while we're continuing here. Give a Bindex, and we are running the giveaway. So if you would like a little pot to try yourself of this gel medium, that is the Bindex, the thinner medium, then go ahead and jump in on the giveaway. If you are on YouTube, I see we have a bunch of people over on YouTube, and you would like to participate in the giveaway, then go ahead and either scan the QR code with your phone on the screen on YouTube, or look in the description and you can click on the, what is it? You can click on the link in the description, and that will bring you over to Whatnot. And then you can participate in the giveaway. My headphones are done. So it is now time to put them away. I didn't use this little guy, which is the black. There's some lines going down this way, so it would be kind of fun to have something black going this way. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down just because I was planning on it. Okay, here we go. What am I using? I'm using the Liquitex regular gel medium to put down this piece of paper. This random piece of paper that I keep when I cut one of my black pages out of a notebook. All right. Quick and easy with your palette knife, right? Let me get a paper towel. All right, so we have a nice background going here. And what I do to put a face on there, and you might say, Christina, there's already a face on there. Yes, but we're going to go over top of that face. So for instance, here, you can see I outlined my design with the eyes, the lips, the neck, and then I went in with a light colored paint to obscure the background a little bit. Oh, I think Punk Rock Princess, you might not have been here earlier. This is the piece that I used on the cover of my show photograph, and it is in one of my journals, and it's called She Wondered. And then there it is. That's the piece that is in the journal. That's the inspiration for this workshop. Yes. And this is a smaller version of that. Now I can see some of this paint is still slightly wet. So I'm going to grab my heat tool and take this opportunity to let you know that on my website, if you need any of these tools, like a heat tool, palette knives, various brushes that I recommend, you can find those under the menu option for products. On Whatnot, I sell my finished artwork, but on my website, I have links if you need to go get painting supplies. Okay, minute 22 left. Go ahead and join the giveaway if you would like a little bottle of the Bindex medium that we used for gluing down. Okay, fantastic. Now at this point, I can either use a brush with some paint, or I can use an acrylic marker or I can use a Sharpie to mark out the design of a funky face that I might want to put on there. And I in particular, I like to do faces of women. That's just my thing. But I need to practice more doing faces of men so I get more comfortable with that. Let's go ahead, and I don't want to use my good acrylic markers because this paint is still wet in the background. So what I'm going to use instead is a brush. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Hold on. Hold the phone. What I've got here on my desk, this is a little, I just love picking up on Whatnot various containers. So I have tons of little containers here on my desk with, this is a handmade, hand-thrown pottery. And these are water-soluble pencils. Oh, here we go, here we go. Jess Munoz 99 won the giveaway, and you're going to be getting a pot of Bindex acrylic medium that you can use for collage. Congratulations. Okay. So these are water-soluble pencils. Love that. And my favorite for doing outlines with, well, there's one other favorite, the jet black, but it's not here. So let's take, these are called Stabilo. This is a pencil that says Stabilo All on it, and they are water-soluble pencils. And the nice thing about them is if you run it through paint, you're just going to put it into your pencil sharpener and you're going to sharpen it right off and then just keep on going. So these are phenomenal, and they come in a whole selection of colors. So what we have here is the blue, the red, the green. There is a graphite. So this one is the graphite color. There's a brown color. There is a yellow color. Yep. There's the yellow. And there's a white. There we go. I highly recommend in your studio. They're very inexpensive, these Stabilo All pencils. Again, it says Stabilo All on there. I highly recommend that you get all the colors. And you can see I do use them. I have about 4 sets of them because I carry them in all different bags that I take and travel with. Because I select what will work and sort of disappear into the background, or I select the black if I want a bolder line. And they are water soluble, so if you make a mistake, you can just use a little bit of water on a brush and it'll lift right up. So usually I will use a color that, let me see. These are interesting because they work on paper, glass, plastic, metal. They're just so handy to have. So handy. I don't know if they sell them in a set, but if they do, get the whole set. All right. And then I can come up with a design. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Come on. On my website, when you look on the latest article, you'll see this face, and it is for doing the whimsical portraits. There's actually a download. There's a button there where I made you a download of the outline for this face. So if you're not comfortable doing your own drawing, you can use a piece of transfer paper and use my drawing and put that over top of your surface if you're more comfortable with that. All right. Here I am. The possibilities, right? I love the big eye and lots of hair. And the question is, what direction should this person be looking? I think they should be looking that way toward this writing. And the red is not going to be good enough because I have red here. Let's try the white one. Okay. And we're going to do the eye. I'm going to start out with a big old eye right here. Well, I can see the white, but you can't see the white. So let me see if I can use the black one maybe. Maybe you can see it better if I do it with the black one. Yeah, I think you can. There's an eye right there. And then let's make a big circle in there. And we'll do another circle here for the eye. Then I'm going to bring the face down like this, because the eye doesn't have to remain on the face, does it? Oh, you could see the white. Oh, okay. Oh, well. It's all right. I'm going to just do it with the black. for now. Let's put some lips out here. So we've got lips like this. And then look at that. Remember, we're going to put paint right over top of it. So, and then she has no chin, or should we give her a chin? Maybe we give her a little chin right here, and then a neck right there. And of course, up here is going to be all the hair. So we've got hair here, hair up here, right? And then we've got, like, there's going to be more hair up here. We need a nose somewhere in here. So I think I'll do the nose like this. What would be good for the end of the nose? Like this, and a little bit like that. Just because it's crazy. Black is better. Right, black is better there. Okay. So you can begin to see the outline here. And we want to have... Now, what I did with mine here was I put flowers like this. So those are funky flowers that I like to do. But I don't want to get rid of too much of what I have in the background here on this particular one. I kind of like the duality here. Maybe she's a split personality. Who knows? Wouldn't that be a cool name for this piece? Split personality. Okay. And then what if we give her... Well, there's just going to be lots and lots and lots of hair coming down here over top of the nose and stuff. So I'll just do that. That is a quick little idea of how to put the face on there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit, like I said, you can use white or you can use like a yellow or a pale color, meaning that we're adding white to the color. Whatever you want the color to be in the area where the face is going to be. So let's take the white. I have my white here. Actually, I like to use white gesso a lot because it's very opaque. But let's see. Okay, this is just a little bit of titanium white. So let me make sure you can see where I'm going to be mixing this up here. There we are. I kind of like the idea of, well, let's just do a very wishy-washy white. So I'm going to put lots of water in my brush. And I want it to just be a hint of white here. And I'm doing that by adding lots of water to it. If you had a white ink, you could do that. And I'm just going over top of... now, I'm going to show you very lightly. This is called dry brushing. So I'm just dry brushing over this area. Very lightly. In the eye, I'm going to have to use a smaller brush to get into the eye area. But I'm getting more of the white in there. The reason that I'm doing a white background is so that when I put other colors on it, the other colors will pop, right? So, oh, thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. So the white of the eye here. Now, the interesting thing is with this black outline, this is a water-soluble black marker. So that's why usually I will do it. I will use the pen color or the pencil color that's closest to the paint that I plan on using with it. But here we go. I'm just more or less using the black as an outline. You can even go back later and go over top of that outline with an acrylic marker, and then that would give you outlines for your design. Okay, let's do a little bit more here over the lips. So this helps you to define the area that you're going to be doing the painting in, as well as it gives you a lighter color in the background over top of what's already there. Okay, so it defines the shapes there. See that? That's her neck, like that. And I used a lot of water in there so that you can still see through to what's behind it. I wanted to, in certain areas like the neck area here, I still want to see what's underneath there. Is there some design, I call that the history, like I mentioned before. That's the history of the painting. Okay, let's do this a little bit more. Around the nose, around the forehead here. There we go. Now, if I don't want these to show up too much, those stamps, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to use a little bit of that white over top of them. Not too much, just enough to sort of push that back, because that's not the main part of our design. That's part of the history. Okay. There we go. You can always come back in after it's dry and add more. What I'm going to do then, I wanted to show you some of the shimmer paints that I mentioned earlier, because I have the shimmer paints to give away. Love the shimmer paints. So these are, there are other brands that have shimmer paints as well. These I just happen to have from Pebeo. I work with the Pebeo paint company. They're called Dyna, and these have shimmer in them. And this blue, either the blue or the green, are my favorite to do the eyes with. That's just me. It's my favorite to do the iris part of the eye. So we're going to put out a little bit of the shimmer green. It's so pretty. And then because I've got white there, the shimmer part is going to show up very nicely. If I had left the background red as it was, the red paper, you may not be able to see that very clear. You might not be able to see the shimmer of the green very clearly. Okay, there we go. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Now the middle part of her eye, I was going to be putting black on for the center of her eye. You can put black. Sometimes I use a dark blue. And so that's why I didn't worry about putting white in that area. So do you see the eye there? And it's going to shimmer. Now, it's wet right now, and plus I would put 2 coats. But this is what it looks like. Can you see the shimmer? Oh, the glow is amazing when you put it on more thickly. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I would let that layer dry, and then I would come in and I would put a second layer. And that'll give it some amazing sparkle. Okay. I'll put that right there. Then the lips down here. I want the lips to be this amazing vivid pink. So we have a vivid pink here. Let me put a little bit of that out. And I need so many brushes all the time. I have tons of brushes around me because I'm constantly dipping in and using different brushes. Okay. Now I'll build up usually 2 to 3 layers of, for instance, this pink. And then I'll come back in and I might put a darker version to give the lips a little bit of depth. Let's put this hoe and this hoe. I have a nice dark line there. Now what I'm noticing is this vivid pink is probably transparent. Yeah, do you see the fact that it has the little white block right there? It's like, dang, it's transparent. Okay. I'm still seeing a lot of what's underneath it, which is fine. Fine. The more layers I build up, the more you'll see the pink in the lips. Or I can take something a little darker. What do I have here that's a little darker? Just like you or I would maybe layer our lipsticks, which I do all the time. I layer my lipstick. Let's do a little bit of this purple. That's also transparent. Dang it. Come on. This is what I wanted, the orange. It's also transparent. What the heck? Oh my goodness gracious. I was trying to get a color that wasn't transparent so I could add it to this pink and make it a little bit darker. But let's go ahead and add a little bit of this cadmium orange and see what happens. Okay. That just gives us a little bit different color. Pink and orange together, that works for lipstick, right? But it is transparent, which is making me crazy, but that's okay. If you have transparent paints and you want more darkness, you just have to layer it. So it's already giving me a second layer there. You see the second layer? It's already coming out. That's good. Let's go ahead and, do I have a dark blue here? I think I might have a dark blue here. Let's see. Do I want dark blue or do I want purple? I have purple up here. Maybe I can take this. This is a violet cobalt purple. Let's take that and put that in the center of her eye, because remember when I was showing you on the color wheel here about purple and what's on the other side of purple? They look good next to each other, not mixed together. They give you browns when you mix them together, but they look good next to one another. So I'm constantly referring to my color wheel for that purpose, to see what might be good choices to put next to each other. All right, so I'm just going to use this in the center right here for the center of the eye. Oh yeah, that purple will work out well. Nice. Nice. So that eye is coming up there. Isn't that fun? So that is the type of thing that I do, is just work back into it with various paints. Like for instance, the nose here. You see what I did with the nose here? I used a purple, and then I came in with some iridescent sparkle. Here I also put a little bit of iridescent sparkle on her eye in order for it to look like the light is hitting it, right? And on the lips, I outlined the area with a red marker, acrylic marker, and then I threw in a little bit of the white highlight there as well. Now let me show you with some of this texture in the hair what I did with the Cern Relief, which is a dimensional paint. And what I want to do while I'm getting started with that is we're going to do the giveaway for this set of Dyna paints. And if you are over on YouTube, I see some people over on YouTube. If you want to participate in the giveaway, just scan the QR code with your phone at the top of the screen, or go into the comments or the description of the video, and you'll be able to click on the link and come over to Whatnot. If you're new to Whatnot, signing up to come over and join us for the giveaway, then you can get $15. They'll put $15 right into your wallet on Whatnot in order to spend on anything. And I'd love it if you buy something from my shop. But I am going to go ahead and start this next giveaway. Thank you, Pebio, as these were left over from a show that I did with them, and so I can bring them to you. Here we go. The giveaway's running. This has 2 tubes of titanium white. That was the white that I was using here, as well as it has 4 colors of the really cool shimmery Dyna paints. If you wanted to add thin vein lines to the eyes, would you use a thin needle to make them? Well, if I wanted to add thin lines to the eyes, I would use either a teeny tiny brush like this. I don't even know if you can see the hairs on that. It's super teeny tiny. So I have a whole, okay, let me show you. Right, you know how I showed you this right here with my water soluble pencils? This is my detail brushes. And again, this is a Japanese a little Japanese container of some sort. And so I put like my little teeny tiny fan brushes in here and other really small detail brushes. One of my favorite detail brushes is this one right here. It is called an angle spot detailer. And so you see the little angle on the top there, and then it has a teeny tiny little brush on the end. That's what I would use, Sofatator. Welcome in, by the way, Sofatator. That's what I would use for doing details, is that little tiny brush. Then I could do the details in any color that I wanted. Yeah, isn't that cool? That is really cool. This, let me just make sure that you know, this is the Princeton Brush Company. So it's Princeton, the Select line, these beautiful turquoise brushes. And then it's the Angle Spot Detailer. Spot Detailer, they're called. But I have teeny tiny, also the Princeton Select. I have a teeny tiny little brush, fan brush right here. Isn't that crazy? So that's what's in my little tiny container there, is my detail brushes for that. All right, let me show you how to use the Pebeo Cern Relief so you know how to add texture. Because that's what I did with the flowers here, was I built up the edges with the texture. And also in the hair, I outlined for the texture, and for the eyelashes, I used the Cern Relief also for texture. All right. Let's go ahead then. It comes in 11 different colors, the Cern Relief. So let me show you. It's a tube. Let me show you. Princeton makes great brushes. Yes, they do, Crazy Junk Art. I love the Princeton brushes. I recommend them constantly. Andrew, and his sister, who were running Princeton brushes before it was picked up by another brush manufacturer a couple years ago. I'd go to the big shows and they'd be like, "What do you want? Pick whatever you want." Anything, because they knew I was going to share it with everybody because their brushes are so fabulous. I use their watercolor brushes too. I have tons of their, where's my favorite? This is my favorite, the Princeton Velvet Touch. These are actually the Velvet Touch you can use with oils, acrylics, or watercolors. It's just if you use them for oils and acrylics, it's better not to use them for watercolors because it leaves a residue in the hairs. So this set that I have of these two sizes, I use just for watercolor, but you can use them for anything. Yes, the Velvet Touch are amazing. Okay, so this is a three-dimensional, the Cern Relief is a three-dimensional paint. And it is water soluble, so it's water cleanup. If you make a mistake, you can just use a little bit of water on a paper towel and wipe it up and then let it dry and reapply the line. Cern Relief requires a sealed background. So if you use it on paper like this that doesn't have any sealant on it of any kind, what you're going to find is there's the possibility it'll crack and it could roll off. I've had a hard time keeping mine. Crazy Junk Art. She's having a hard time keeping her brushes separated, watercolor versus acrylic. Oh, I know. So what I've done, Crazy Junk Art, is I found these are 1970s and 1980s containers. I found these, either people selling them on Whatnot or other places. I always have my eyes out for them. And so, for instance, this is all my watercolor brushes. Oh, Sofatator. Sofatator. You won the set of Dyna paints. Woohoo! That's coming out to you. Yes, sweet win for sure. So what I do is I separate them in my studio. So this is only watercolor brushes that are allowed in here, in this one. And then I have another one that has four. Instead of only two, it has 4 bins, and that has my acrylic brushes in it. That's how I keep them separated. Oh, look at this. My sister-in-law is bringing me some tea. Thank you.
I'm guessing they need to go out.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right, awesome. Wow, that was super nice. Everybody say thank you, Louise. She brought me some tea. All right. What I was saying then is that this CERN relief needs a sealed surface. And acrylic paint and acrylic medium, like the Bindex and the gel medium, creates a sealed surface here. So I know this entire surface is sealed. That means that this CERN relief will stick to it. CERN relief was originally designed, thanks everybody for thanking Louise, was originally designed to use on glass, to use with Pebeo, because it's a Pebeo brand, to use with the Pebeo glass paints. And artists discovered that you could use it also on your artwork to give you a three-dimensional bump. And wow, I go through lots of this. I have a huge bin of it. Like I said, it comes in 11 colors. There's even a white, and I'll be giving away this gold tonight. One of my favorites is the copper. And why don't we, oh, there's gold, there's white, there's gold, there's white. Ah! All right. I don't know. Let's see. Is the white open? Yes, the white is open. This lid is a two-part lid. There's a black cap, and then there's the tube that already has a hole in it when you buy it, so you don't have to cut it. This will give you a nice thin line. Let me show you how this works. Now, this is a metal tube. That means that as you use it, you need to be rolling it up on the bottom. So you'll notice this one is rolled up on the bottom, right? Because you want to keep the paint, keep pushing the paint up. And what's going to happen is I have not cut this tip. So I can get super thin lines with this. I know it's white on white, but you should be able to see there. There's a thin line. And people have said to me, how the heck did you get such a thin line when you were doing your design work? And I said, you're cutting the tip. And they said, well, yeah, don't you have to cut the tip? And I said, no, the tip already has a hole in it when you get it. That's how you get the thin lines. Okay. Periodically, as you're using it, you have to clean the tip of it and then make sure that you keep the top on it. When you finish a tube, like I made that mistake on my first tube. See, Crazy Junk Art said. And Crazy Junk Art said she's never seen the copper, so we'll definitely use the copper. The and the white, I had been begging for years. I've been working with Pebeo since 2014, so 10 years already. And I had been begging them for a white, and they gave it to us. Oh, so the white is phenomenal, especially when you're working on a darker background. Wow, they're fantastic. But when I finish with a tube, I unscrew this top, I separate the top and the cap, and I dunk them into water. And then I will clean this out with a pin. I have a pin tool here, don't I? Yeah. There's my pin tool like that. So then I'll clean it out after I've soaked it. And then I'll blow it out, and I make sure then that I throw this into a little baggie, and then I have spare tips. And the nice thing about spare tips is sometimes if you've used something and then not used it for a while, you can get it drying in the tube here, and then it won't go through, right? So it's no fuss, no muss. If it's stuck in here, I just unscrew the top, throw it in some water, get a fresh top, screw on the fresh top, get going. Another great reason to have extra nibs is that you can cut this nib at different lengths, and then you will get thicker lines with that, just with the same pressure. And some people find that they, especially if they're going to pour liquid paint into them like I did here, then you want to use a thicker line when you do that. And so it can be helpful to cut that tip for that reason too. But I always want to have spare tips on hand, and I have a whole baggie in the box where I keep these. Now, let's see if this copper is open or not. Okay, this copper is not open. So they come sealed. Do you see the seal there? You can see a silver seal. I'm going to show you how you open these. You just unscrew the top, flip it around, and I'm going to take this top and I'm just going to push it in there. like that. And now it's open. Can you buy spare tips? Yes, Crazy Junk Art. You can buy, they're in packs of 6. You could buy the spare tips. Actually, when people first get the tubes like this, I always recommend, if it's your first time buying the tubes, that you buy an extra set of tips. And then after that, as you use your tubes and you finish them, you'll be able to save and just perpetuate your spare tips, right? Now, I had mentioned about rolling this up to keep the paint going up into the tube, right? One of the things, when you have a fresh tube like this one's brand new, fresh, notice how I'm sort of holding it from the back end and I'm squeezing it from the back end. Then also you can guide it with your other hand. So my dominant hand is the one, like if I wanted to draw a word, Hello, right? I'm going to do that with my dominant hand. If I'm drawing a line, I can use my non-dominant hand to help guide it. So let's say that I want to do a necklace on this girl. Then I'm going to make a pearl necklace. So I'm just going along, I'm stopping, squeeze. I have consistent pressure here, but I'm creating a cool beaded necklace for the girl that I did. You see the beaded necklace? Isn't that cool? There is a video put out by Pebeo years ago. I think it must be 12, 14 years old. And it shows you a bunch of different designs that you can do with varying pressure with your tubes. And it's fantastic. That's where I learned how to do this sort of like a pearls necklace there. And some people will grab this tube and they'll try to use it like a pencil. It's okay when the tube is brand new, but if you continue to try to use it as a pencil, what'll happen is it will get pinched on the edges and it'll split on the edges. So that's why I recommend that you use the back-ended squeeze and then use your other hand to direct it. And Pebeo had asked me, have you ever experienced trouble with the tube splitting? And I said, no. And they said, really? They couldn't believe it. And I said, yeah, this is what I do. I roll it up and I use it from the end and I do that. And they said, wow. And then I discovered why, because I was watching someone else in one of my art classes that I was teaching, holding it like a pencil and it got pinched on the side. And I said, oh, that's what it is. When it gets pinched on the side, it splits. The metal splits. So if you do it the way that I teach it, where you're rolling it up from the back and you're squeezing it like this, then you won't have those splits, which is great. All right, let's put some, since you are asking about the copper, let's give this gal some red hair and then we'll give her a pearl necklace, right? So I'm just going to take this. The slower you go, the thicker the line. The faster you go, the thinner the line. So I'm just going to come right here and I'm going to follow along with the line that I created earlier. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is 100% addictive. You're going to want to be using these on everything. There we go. So you see the 3D hair right there? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now, oops, am I getting paint everywhere? Probably. What I will do is I make sure that I turn my artwork to be sure that I'm always pulling toward me when I'm working on it. It dries fast. Yeah, Crazy Junk Art. It dries so fast. It's amazing. It is humid here, so it dries slower here, but it definitely dries fast. So you can actually connect up. Like there was a little bit right there. And so I'm going to connect that up and I'm just going to go like this. And I'm going to give her some more wavy hair here and come down this side. Woo! See, I just did what I said not to do, but it doesn't matter. You break all the rules, okay? Don't listen to me. So now we've got some hair going on here. And of course, I would just keep going and fill in. I could cut the tip and get it a little bit thicker and put some thicker hair in if I wanted to. Oh my gosh, y'all are gonna, if you haven't used them before, you are gonna fall in love with these outliners. Now, try to keep the lid on it. You can see it wants to jump out, right? It wants to jump out like that. Oh, you know what? Let's use the gold to, let's say she's a blondie. She was born blonde, so we're going to use the gold here. And I'm going to put some, oops. See, that's the thing. It does dry fast, but I tend to, when I use it, I have to set it aside and wait for it to dry 15 minutes before I go try to do something else because I just stuck my fingers in it. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give her big old eyelashes. There's black. There's also a color called imitation lead, because of course, if you're going to be working on glass, which is what these were originally designed for, then imitation lead is a good one. Okay. Just hopping right over top of it there. So there are my big old eyelashes for her, and they're 3D. Oh my gosh, they're so much fun. All right, let me go ahead and start the giveaway for the last one. Again, if you're over on YouTube and you'd like to join us for the giveaway, this giveaway is a fresh tube. Let me just make sure. Yes, it has not been opened. Let me see. Yep, it's good. It's good. It's good. So it is a fresh tube of gold, which is a highly desirable color. Whenever we do shows, the black and the gold just sell out immediately. So I'm gonna go ahead and give up a gold one, compliments of Pebeo, and we're going to, on Whatnot, start that giveaway. Woo! There we go. Okay, it's running. So that's a giveaway for a tube of the gold. If you use the white, can you then paint the lines? Excellent question. Thank you very much for asking that, Punky Rock Princess. And make sure to get in the giveaway if you're over on Whatnot. This, once it's dry, it's just like acrylic paint. So you can paint right over top of it with any other color or layer of paint. Once it's dry. Okay. So that's the answer to that. Let me do the white, and I'm going to, what am I going to do? Let's just fill in a little bit of her eye here with the white to give her eye a little bit of dimension. Why not? Just for the heck of it. Just for something different. There we go. That makes it really white, doesn't it? Okay. Gives it dimension, a nice bright color. And then let's do the necklace down here. So I'm going to start here and end at the hair right here. And let's say she's got a beautiful pearl necklace. There are the pearls right there. Move it a little bit more. Oh, so fun. Little choker. Isn't that cool? There's the choker. Oh my gosh. And I can always go back in, put a little bit of gold in between the pearls if I wanted to. But that is the concept for Funky Faces and working on the mixed media background. Woohoo!